Hello, Steve White, Steve White's 89. Well, I just watched episode 4 of Superman and Lois. It was really good. I am really excited to have this show. I haven't been excited about a show for a while. I didn't know the show aired on Tuesday in America. I thought it aired on the weekend, so I haven't been like looking for it until the weekend. And I just found it it's like Wednesday night, Thursday morning in Australia. And I'm like, what? It's already up? I had no idea it aired on Tuesday. Why would you air a show like this on a Tuesday? I don't know. But I was excited to find it. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm excited about a TV show. I haven't been excited about a TV show since maybe the third season of American Horror Story. I think that's probably the last time I was excited about a TV show. So yeah, I watched it. It was good. The show just keeps getting better. The characters keep getting better. I'm really liking Lois. I didn't like her the first couple of episodes, I think, because she was just being mom. She wasn't really being Lois Lane, and I don't really know her in mom mode. So just to see her be Lois Lane and be like kick-ass Lois Lane was good. So yeah, and the story with the kids is getting interesting. I have some moral issues with some of the things that are happening, but I understand why they're happening. But now, some things I don't understand why they're happening is the episode starts off with Morgan Edge showing up at crash site of, it looks like a bunch of meteorites or something, I don't know. But then it looks like a little Kryptonian capsule, kind of like what Clark was in. Now, I don't know my Superman lore. I don't pretend to. I'm a Star Trek expert. I am not a superhero expert. I have like a book on Superman and superheroes and all that. I haven't read it. I've had it for a couple of years. I just haven't had the time. So I have no idea what's happening, and I don't know if there's a comic book stories that they're working with and things that they're bringing to the show, or if they're just creating their own stuff or creating their own stuff from the lore that already exists. So I don't know what's happening. But I know Morgan Edge is creating super villains, basically, that seem to... They're basically using Kryptonian or something to give them Kryptonian-like powers, but they're not Kryptonians, as far as I can tell. So that's how the episode starts. It's a short scene. Then we go to a football game, and we have Lana's husband, who I'm not giving a name because he's just Lana's husband. I have a bit of contempt with him because I'm a city person. I hate country people. I came from the country, and I was happy to get out. And he's absolutely just following Morgan Edge around like a little sick puppy dog, and it's quite sickening. And he starts hitting on his wife, and he doesn't do anything. And I'm like, wow, this is like... Actually, I'm not going to tell that story. But there was a famous person who like allowed another famous person to say that their wife was fat, and then instead of defending her, basically ran around kissing his ring all day. So for months or for whatever favors he needed. And he's sort of playing this game where he's I don't know if he's in love with this guy or if he's just so desperate to save the town and get their business. Yep. So basically Daddy Lane starts causing troubles. General Lane, I call him Daddy Lane because it's Lois Lane's daddy. He is just up in Superman's grill all the time. I do not know what his problem is, but he's like, you're like the world's most important person. You have an obligation. You have to do blah, 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 blah. You can't be distracted by my grandchildren. And he makes a huge jerk out of himself. Later in the episode, he actually steps way over the line and tells the boys, once he realizes, because he sees the game and he's like, he's got powers. That little nerd, that little sissy boy, which is what I'm sure he would have been calling him his whole life. Not my words, my assumed words he's used. I'm just projecting. He realizes he's got powers. So he looks at Lane and he's like, anything you want to tell me? And just like... So then he finds out, they know Superman is their father, blah, 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 blah. They're having powers, blah, 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 blah. This is not good. They're playing on the team. How is that fair? And then he actually tells them, your dad is really important, more important than your little problems, so perhaps not call on him all the time and waste his time, because when he's distracted, people die. Something to that effect. And I'm like, wow, for someone who's been criticising Lois and Clark for how they raise their children and putting them in danger and how they suffer through having him as a father, he just abused his power and information there and knowledge there, and the way he did that to them was just awful. And I'm like, oh, really? You said that? Really? So I hate him already. So I've pretty much hated him since the first episode. He's kind of the bad guy, one of them. So we see him complaining that basically the city has anxiety, like post-Superman anxiety, because he isn't around. Suddenly the criminals are getting cocky and things are going awry. They're planning to move. Thaddeus Kilgrade, leader of... what is it? Oh, Intergang? Yeah, Intergang. Sorry, I can't even read my own writing. I need to start putting notes like on my computer and reading them, but it's easier to just write. So, especially when I'm watching, because I can just be like writing and like, because I can write and not look at the screen. I mean, I can't type and not look at the screen. I can't do it. You don't care. Why am I talking about this? So, yeah, so they basically win, because in my head, sorry, I should have gone back to the game. Basically, they win. They win because of Jordan. Suddenly, he's a big hero. And, of course, his brother is like, who am I? If I'm not the star, who am I? So he's totally lost, jealous and a bit resentful. And we finally get to see some of the other people on the team. Sorry. And the Asian guy actually gets some attention. Tag, I'm like, wow, they're actually showing some of the other people in the show. Because none of the other people really have had, much to do. And I was like, oh, yeah. Then we start to see that he's having some sort of superpowers, like something's happening to him, sort of like the old days of Smallville, where they're all the freaks who were like affected by the kryptonite, and it was sort of like monster of the week, freak of the week. He starts shaking violently and he starts healing, like his broken arm is healed. He starts reacting strangely. And then we go to Lois warning Morgan Edge, basically, don't try and intimidate me. You sue me, I sue you. Discovery lets out all your skeletons in all your closets. Don't F with me. I've got a secret weapon for the town meeting, which was Clark, who was going to speak on her behalf. And then Clark doesn't show up because he's trying to track down Thaddeus Kilgrave, who has escaped during the transit because Clark didn't go and symbolically, help out with that, which is what Daddy Kent asked him to do. He said, you need to make a show of support and show the police force and Metropolis that you're still here for us, that you actually will help us and take care of this stuff. And he's like, I got more important things to do with my kids. I'm sorry I don't work for you. Now, eventually they find out. No, I'll get that later. I'm having a hard time deciding, do I do things in the order they happen in the episode, or just talk about each sort of person's story for the episode? But because, of course, they intertwine, you can't really do it that way, which I would have known if I'd scripted this in the first place. So, unfortunately, like I said, Superman doesn't show up, or Clark doesn't show up, and Morgan Edge gets permission to start mining. Now, Tag is continuing to have crazy reactions, and Jonathan starts to notice. He even asks Clark to help, but he doesn't really do anything because he just says, look, I'm fine, and leaves. Lois is a bit upset that he missed the meeting. She's like, I feel like I knew who I married, but I feel like I'm getting pretty low down on the list at the moment. And Clark is just like, puppy dog eyes, oh my God, what? I've upset my wife. He's very cute. He needs to shave, but he's very cute. I'm really liking his Clark Kent. Seems very... He still has that alien naivety of like I'm still learning to be human or something, even though he's like, 40 now? Either way, he pulls it off pretty well. And what else? I'm trying to work out the best order to go into these things. So they have like a little date night, and there's so many little good moments in this. Like when basically he says, I'm sorry I've neglected you, you're the love of my life, I love you. And right before she can say something, the phone rings and she picks it up and it's her dad. And he's like letting them know that, there's something's going to happen and you might need a bit of notice because they've had a go at him. I'll get to that in time. And like just this little moment where when Clark actually zips off, the wind puts out the candles at the romantic dinner, and I'm like, was this perfect? Was it just a little thing? But there's so many little things that are so perfect with the show. Now, of course, Daddy, I'm just have to skip to the end. Basically, Tag starts to really react, and he's like shaking, and he becomes dangerous. Like he's literally vibrating, like some sort of, I don't know what to call it. And Jonathan and Jordan try to handle it themselves because they don't want to call their dad because they were told not to. So they get injured because Tag knocks Jordan. It's so hard to remember which one's Jonathan and which one's Jordan. Into like just out. And Jonathan is like just finally eventually calls Clark. And Clark at this time, which I forgot to mention, Superman, is lured to meet Thaddeus Kilgrave, Gray, whatever his name is. And he's got like a supersonic gun or something, which of course affects Superman because he's super hearing. And he's kind of winning for a while, and he's enjoying it. And he's shooting these waves at Superman and keeping him down. I'm like saying, like, why is no one doing something? Why are all these people standing around? He's just a nerdy guy with a gun. Why is no one doing anything? But eventually he hears his son, calling, and he gets his strength together. He claps his hands basically and just shockwaves everyone off their feet, knocks them out, basically laser eyes, burns the weapon, and then goes to save his kids. He takes him up he grabs Tag, takes him up into the upper atmosphere because apparently the lower oxygen or something is going to help him to calm down or something. He passes out. I thought he died. I actually thought, oh my God, did I not learn from Discovery? When a small character gets an episode, they get attention, they're usually dead, and that's their last episode. And I thought he was dead. I thought that was it. I thought, did they just bury one of their minorities? I'm like, no. I'm like, oh, fine. Didn't like his mullet anyway. It was kind of cute. I thought he had a mullet because of his cap. He just had long hair. So yeah, that's when we get to the problems of Clark asked the kids, why did you wait so long to call me? And because this little briefing that Daddy Clark is, Daddy Kent is giving all of them. And then that's when Clark asks, because they're talking about, him, is he going to be okay, what's happening to Tag? And they tell him that he's gone to the DOD, like the special Smallville special people school, where they basically monitor them. And he's explaining all that. And then Clark asks, why did you take so long to tell me what was happening? And they both look right at Daddy Clark. And it's, Daddy Lois. I'm just so hopeless. I cannot get anything right. I don't know what's wrong with me. It is about 8 a.m. in the morning. I've been up all night. I'm a bit out of it. They just look right at him. They just throw him right under the bus. It's like a two-shot of them, and then the parents looking at him, and he's like, what? I'm trying to save the world, basically. And, of course, Clark goes off because you risked my children by telling them not to call me because, I have more important things to do. So he was not as angry as he should have been. But Lois was, that's it, Dad. You've crossed the line. And basically, you won't be welcome here if you keep carrying on like this. So he said, fine, I'll go. Then that's when he called back after, because Clark had the dinner afterwards for Lois. And that's when he calls and says, look, I might need your help. Something's happening, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to give you a heads up so you don't just run out at the last minute on your family. So he leaves. And then we get to the end where we've got Morgan Edge and La. I just realised found out her name is La. Basically, they break open a cavern in some caves and where they're mining, and they find a whole bunch of X-kryptonite, which I'm guessing that's kryptonite that's just not on planet Krypton. I don't know what X-kryptonite is. Part of me is enjoying not knowing stuff and just sort of discovering stuff in the show, but part of me is thinking like you really should do your comic research and know what some of this stuff is, because it's probably going to help you understand the story more. But then I don't want to ruin things because I'm getting surprised by stuff. Unlike other shows where I know everything and I don't have any surprises. There is no wonder. It's like I know who everyone is, what's going to happen. So that's where the episode ends. Some little highlights were Lois basically being told your contract, because she was going to put out a big, huge hit piece on Morgan Edge right before the vote. And then La walks in, being the creep show that she is, and says, sorry, contract, no, can't do it, you can't publish anything. And then tiny little editor of tiny little paper with no money, no budget. It's like, you can't print a word. We can't print a word of what you say until we work out the legalities, because we can't take a lawsuit. We don't have a budget. We don't have a lawyer. So, yeah. And the only other issue, which I thought people would make more of a deal of, is the how unfair it is that Jordan is playing football and like they win because of his superpowers. He's got an advantage over everyone in the team and their team over every other team. And I get why Clark is letting this happen because he missed out. But at some point they're going to have to realise he's got an unfair advantage. He's basically cheating. The brother has sort of made a few indications that this is how he feels. It's not really fair on the rest of the team, but Clark is just so happy to see his son happy. I think that's what it is. He's so happy to see his son happy and feeling like he's part of something and not suffering through his anxiety, which he said, he's talking to Sarah and he said, my anxiety's gone, I feel part of something, I feel important or whatever. So I think Clark is blinded by the fact his son's doing really well, that he's not really, like morally, this is not right, he shouldn't be doing it. So I guess we're going to work on that. I'm guessing he's not going to end up being like a football star and stealing that role from someone else, stealing someone's scholarship or whatever. I'm sure they'll sort it out before the end of the season, but I'm having some issues with it. I wish Clark would have more of an issue, but I think he's just excited that his son is happy and being productive and doing something. So the episode was called Haywire, and what really upsets me is that this is the second last episode until they have a 2-month hiatus because they got shut down from Corona, and apparently that delayed the rest of the season. So we're gonna have Supergirl season 6, which I won't be watching because I haven't watched season 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'm so excited to get this show, and oh my god, I got my weekly show, and it's like I got one more, and then I got to wait 2 months till I get the rest. But it'll be worth the wait. Totally enjoyed it. So glad to have something to talk about. Normally I do Star Trek videos reviewing Discovery, which I have issues with, and Picard, which I have issues with, and Lower Decks, which I have issues with, and it's not fun. And people call you a hater and negative and attack you all the time, and you get trolls in your comments. This is just good. I'm just enjoying it. And even if it doesn't get as much a reaction, I don't get as many comments, at least I'm enjoying it and I'm enjoying talking about it. So it's just better. Like I'm up to 17 minutes and I'm just could talk all day about it. It was really great. But I'm not going to. I'm going to stop. And hopefully some people will come and share their thoughts in my comments about it and what they thought, because that's kind of the fun part about doing YouTube. That is it. Hearing what other people think and talking to other people. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe, and maybe even ding the little bell. It does actually help, so you actually see when I do more videos, so you might actually watch them. I'm going to go. Thanks. Bye.